Sue and Craig have equity in their home, plus some savings in the bank. They decided to buy a second property as a tenanted investment. They got advice from Toowoomba's Edge Lending, because Edge Lending are the experts in borrowing to buy investment property.
Hi everyone, Scott from Edge Specialist Advice Network. I hope you're all well. Hey, today we've got another installment of What the Numbers Say, and as always, we're using Visual Strategist today to have a look at how long your retirement or your money would stretch if you had $1 million in, we're using the US as a bit of an idea, but also we're going to have a chat about Australia. So if you retire with $1 million US, it's about $1.6 million Australian. How far would that stretch out if it was invested in things? How many years could you keep living the lifestyle that you chose to live in? So let's have a look at not this one, everyone. Where is it? Okay, cool. All right, so here we are. Let me just move myself up right here. Now you might question why I'm looking at the US one, but bear with me. I do have a bit of a method to the madness here. I want to use this as an example of how varying places can cost different things and your money can stretch further. All right, and so in the US is a good example because they've got 50 odd states, and every cost, every tax, cost of living is different, and taxes are different, incomes are different in those states. So what are we looking at here? So this is in US dollars. So how far would $1 million stretch in retirement if you're spending at the average spend rate for that area as well? Because this is the thing, right? Because things are going to cost different amounts of money in different jurisdictions, and so therefore that cost of living will be different. So hang on, so what do I mean? Let's have a scroll down here. Look at this example, right? So if you lived in California, the average as done by actuaries is about 61K US for a standard sort of lifestyle. That's going to last you 16 years. Whereas if you're in, where are we? We're someone down the bottom here. Oh my God, look, Tennessee. You're in Tennessee or South Carolina, then the average lifestyle is going to cost you 20,000 US for the year, which is just crazy. It's going to last you 50 years. That money, your $1 million US. So you don't need that to retire that much. You don't need to be that adventurous to try and invest that much money. I would encourage you to do, because money gives you options. However, to have the average lifestyle in these lower price states, you don't need as much money. So I thought that was pretty crazy. Let's go back to the infographic. All right. So what strikes me here is the disparity. Like, this is one country, and if you spread it across, you can see, West Virginia, so mountain country. So on that $1 million US, you can last basically another 90 years. So if you retire at 60, you can keep living the lifestyle until you're 150 on that $1 million US. Now, that's a bit of a strange example, but again, we're trying to look at the disparity of the cost of lifestyle in different jurisdictions. And remember what cost of lifestyle is caused by. It's caused by government. All right, it's caused by the taxes. It's caused by the social programs. It's caused by the way they attract business and the way they attract economic activity. So it's not just like, oh, geez, how come I can live on my $1 million in West Virginia for 90 years, and over here in California I'm going to get 16 years out of that, because everything's so more expensive, and their economy is so full of taxes and levies and registrations and just everything. So everything costs more. Everything absolutely costs more. High tax, high social spending. All right, that's what we come here. Look, even Texas is about middle of the road. So if we translated this to Australia, because Australia's economy is very homogenous, and we're only 25 million people, and we're spread across this big landmass, and the way that our government system works, we have federal income taxes, we don't have state income taxes, and pretty much most of the levies and jurisdictions are kind of federally run. They're not really state run. There's not vast differences between the cost of land taxes and card registrations, and your insurance companies are all the same across the country. So ours are very, very much the same. And what I did was I went across to one of the Money Smart, so the government ASIC Money Smart calculators, and I put in some figures here. And so I put in the $1.58 million amount that you might start with at a 65 age retirement age. Why did I pick that? Because that is equal to $1 million US. That's how crap our currency is, right? And 89,000 is about what the lifestyle that most people are going to want to be aiming for. And so we said, hey, if that was invested conservatively, or but still has some risk in the market, you might get an average rolling return of about 6.5%, ASIC would say that that's a balanced fund. ASIC wouldn't say that's in cash and non-volatile investments either. And then if that's the case, so your pension or your superannuation or your investments go up in value, and then you spend your 89, and it goes up again, you spend your 89, and we can see that it's going to last at about 25 years. All right, so that's probably the average of where Australia is, because we're only 25 million people. But when we go back to our map of the US, Florida is 25 million people. So you can understand why ours across for Australia is pretty much similar in any state. Although Victoria is probably way more expensive to live in at the moment, and Sydney is as well. But it's not crazy differences. Whereas these guys are just very stark. You got 12 years to 89 years, which is just madness. And you can tell why things like that would create different voting patterns. Some have a very expensive cost of lifestyle, but maybe that's a high lifestyle. Maybe some of these areas where it costs really nothing to live, maybe they've been left behind economically. Maybe that causes strange voting patterns. Very, very interesting. But when I take this concept of that, a different jurisdiction, and the US is good to look at because they're state-based confederacy of this federation of states, where states are supposed to be the ultimate governing law, and federal is just supposed to come over the top to assist in a few things. That's been usurped for probably the last 15 years, but that's what it's supposed to be. That's what their constitution was, because they have the right to tax by themselves, and they have the right to make different levies by themselves, and so they would be voted in and out depending on those state-based tax costs and the way that their lifestyle runs. And so it's a good example of where a different government jurisdiction creates different economic activities and creates different economic costs and lifestyles for their citizens. So let's pretend, the US is about 360 million people, Australia is 25 million. So we would have to look up towards Southeast Asia and kind of count us as part of Southeast Asia. There's a lot of reasons to think that we are the white trash of Southeast Asia. We're very behind in a lot of the schooling. Once upon a time we looked at going and taking our son into international school. He would have had to redo a grade to catch up because they are actually a fair way ahead in their curriculum. So that's pretty bad for Australia, but we seem to keep feeling really good for ourselves for some reason. No one's going to protest in the street to get the education people to make a harder curriculum, are they? So, but this is the example of when I put Australia into a jurisdiction of Indonesia, Philippines, Malaysia, Thailand, Vietnam, that Southeast Asia block. Hong Kong and Singapore probably aren't as good examples. They're very expensive. But if we took ourselves and said, okay, how far could we stretch our $1.6 million on about an $89,000 lifestyle in Australia? We already know via the ASIC Money Smart website that it's about 25 years before our money runs out. If it's invested and we're receiving about 6.5% return year on year on year. So that's an $89,000 lifestyle in today's money. Think of it like that. And so if we use this example and we said, okay, well, we're about middle of the road for, comparative to the US, but how would I get my $89,000 lifestyle to give me a $150,000 lifestyle in Australia? I've just got to go to a cheaper jurisdiction. I've got to go to a cheaper jurisdiction where the economy is, has lower price services, but still high quality services. Obviously, those economies have very low taxes. Obviously, what comes with that is a lower social safety net generally. But it usually has a lot of economic activity, and standards of living would be on the rise as well. So where would I look at to take my $89,000 lifestyle in Australia and turn it into equivalent to a $150,000 lifestyle, maybe even $200,000 lifestyle? Any other Southeast Asian country except us, and not Singapore and not Hong Kong. So you are talking your Vietnams, great place, cheap, everything's good, hospital system's great. Thailand, education's good, hospital system's great food, low cost of living. Malaysia, probably some of the best, aged care facilities and homes, great hospitals, really low cost of living. You can own land title. Indonesia, look, obviously lower cost. Yes, if you had some sort of affinity with Indonesia, that would obviously be in the list. I think Bali is not a good example of what Indonesia really is. Bali is really, it's become a high-end holiday spot only, so I don't really count that. Philippines, definitely. There's a lot of great places in Philippines as well. And you can get lower cost. Everyone could have a housekeeper, gardener, full-time nurse if that's what you needed, before you even need to go to any sort of hospitals and things. So your $89,000 lifestyle could give you an easy $200,000 lifestyle equivalence from Australia in our other political and economic jurisdictions, just like in the US, where they can go, hey, look, I guess you might have someone come from California that goes, you know what, I'm retiring on my $1 million. Geez, I'm only going to get 12 years of lifestyle that I want out of that $1 million. So I can't retire at 60 because then I'm 76, then what am I going to do? Whereas if you might have, if I take this 16 years, or I come to Florida, I've doubled it. Plus I've got, probably maybe I'm hanging with my own sort of people. You're still beach, still nice weather. Or if I wanted to go into, in the Midwest, I guess, Oklahoma, Texas, 47 years. And it's the same sort of concept, right? There is a mass migration from California over to these areas. And it doesn't just have to do with political leanings. It has to do with economic opportunity, but it also has to do a lot with low taxes. And when you have low taxes, then you can invest more, or your cost of living is lower because all of the taxes go on to retail items and retail services, and they're passed on to the consumer always. Okay, so wherever there's lower taxes, there's lower goods to be enjoyed by the end consumer, and so your money stretches further. So it is the same concept. While there's a massive migration from a lot of these high social program states into states that are more reasonable, but with lower taxes as well. And so you could see that a lot of them would come out of the blues, what they call the blue states, which would normally vote Democrat, and come across to the red states. And people would think that that's all about their tribe and their political leanings. It has a lot more to do with, holy hell, how can I stretch my money? It's expensive to live now. I need to really think about moving somewhere that makes sense and I can live there and have the lifestyle that I deserve because I've worked so long and paid all my taxes. And that's exactly the concept that I want to keep pushing onto you guys, that it says, if it gets too expensive to live in Australia, then we need a hybrid retirement plan. This is what this is all about. And this is what I keep saying. And I know a lot of you are starting to really grasp this concept. It takes a while, but I know everyone's been listening, and I get some great feedback from you guys. So look, thanks very much as well. So look, guys, I thought that was interesting. So even in a country that is a country that you can have different political jurisdictions, and you can have vast different outcomes of how far your retirement money is going to stretch. If you're in a country like Australia where the costs are really homogenised because we have a low population really for the land mass, but also the way the government structure is, and you need to go outside that political jurisdiction into a cheaper jurisdiction with probably more freedoms, but definitely a greater lifestyle. And for us, a lot of that is Southeast Asia because it's one flight. All right, guys, that's enough from me. Remember, life is a family sport. Give yours an edge. See ya.
Superannuation is every Australian's most important investment. The decisions you make now can have a large impact on when you can afford to retire and the lifestyle you'll enjoy when you do. There are so many companies to pick from for your super, but did you know that you can also manage it yourself? Edge Financial Services can help you take control of your super and plan for retirement with a self-managed super fund. There are many different ways for you to invest in your future. To find out more about investment strategies that will give you the edge in retirement, visit edge.net.au today.